Have you ever just stopped and wondered why love feels like this beautiful, chaotic mystery? I mean, why are we pulled towards one person and not another? Well, today, we're going to dive right into that. We are peeling back the curtain on the hidden science of attraction.
It's the question, isn't it? We've all been there, trying to figure out our feelings, our relationships, our heartbreaks. It can seriously feel like an impossible puzzle sometimes.
But what if I told you the answer isn't really in poetry or old romance novels? What if the biggest clues are right here, inside our own heads? Because the real story of love, it turns out, is this incredible mix of chemistry, psychology, and some really surprising brain science.
Okay, so to get started, we've got to look at the very first layer, and honestly, the most powerful one, chemistry. Because, before we even have a chance to think, our brains are already going to work. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung, well, he absolutely nailed it with this. Love is a reaction. It literally changes who we are, right down to our core. And that transformation, it all kicks off with a flood of some pretty powerful chemicals.
So, what's in this so-called love cocktail? Well, it's a really potent mix. Think of it like this crazy feedback loop. You feel attraction, your brain releases chemicals, and those chemicals make you focus even more on the person you're attracted to. In a very, very real sense, falling in love affects the brain kind of like a drug does. Now, the two big players here have totally different jobs. Dopamine, that's the engine, that's the chase. It's that euphoric, can't eat, can't sleep, can't stop thinking about them feeling. Oxytocin, on the other hand, that's the glue. It's the cuddle hormone that builds trust and makes you feel safe, secure, and deeply connected. It's what turns that initial spark into a long-term bond.
But here's the thing, right? Chemistry can't be the whole story. I mean, if it was, we'd all be attracted to the same people. The next layer is our own personal psychology. It's like a unique blueprint that shapes how we give and how we receive love.
So our early life experiences basically create our personal attachment style. And this acts like a filter for all those chemicals we were just talking about. You can see they range from secure, where you're pretty comfortable with closeness, to anxious or fearful, where you might really want connection, but you're also terrified of being abandoned or getting hurt. And then you've got the dismissive style, where going it alone just feels safer than letting someone in. Figuring out your own pattern is like a huge step in understanding how you operate in relationships.
And, believe it or not, it gets even more complex. Beyond our personal history, our brains have these built-in shortcuts, biases, that can completely change who we see as valuable. I mean, have you ever noticed that we tend to want what we can't have? Yeah, there's a scientific reason for that.
Two of the most powerful of these shortcuts are the scarcity bias and the preselection bias. Think of them as these subconscious rules of thumb our brain uses to quickly figure out if someone is worth it without having to do a ton of thinking.
Let's start with scarcity. Picture this. In a famous study from 1975, people were shown two jars of the exact same cookies. One jar was totally full, and the other one had only 2 cookies left. Which ones do you think people wanted more? Yep, people said the scarce cookies were twice as valuable. It's a simple rule in our brain. If something seems rare or hard to get, we just automatically think it's better.
And get this, the exact same 2x effect happens with people, thanks to something called preselection bias. A study out of the University of Texas found that when a man was shown in a picture with other women, his desirability rating more than doubled compared to when he was pictured all by himself. It's our brain's shortcut. If other people already want him, he must be a good catch. He's been pre-approved.
Okay, so we've got chemistry and we've got psychology, but now we're getting to the deepest and maybe the most counterintuitive layer of attraction. This is the one that explains why, sometimes, we form an almost addictive bond with someone. And it all comes down to one thing: unpredictability. So the key concept here is called dopamine prediction error. See, our brain's reward system is always making little predictions. When something good happens and it's exactly what we expected, we get a nice, normal hit of dopamine. But, and this is the key, when a reward is unexpectedly good, the dopamine spike is just massive. Honestly, think of it like a slot machine. It's the chance of a surprise win that keeps you pulling that lever. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. If you expect something good and don't get it, you feel let down. That's disappointment. If you get exactly what you thought you would, you feel good, you get a solid reward. But just look at that third bar. When you get a surprise, something way better than you were expecting, the dopamine response can be 3 times stronger. This is the engine of intense craving, right here.
So this leads to a really strange paradox. Consistent, stable, predictable affection, which is what we all think we want, right, can actually become less rewarding to our brain over time. It just becomes a zero prediction error. The brain gets used to it, and that exciting chemical kick, it just starts to fade. It's like the law of diminishing returns, but for our feelings.
And for a shocking, I mean truly wild real-world example, you just have to look at the world-famous soccer star Ricardo Kaká. This guy was a global icon, married to his childhood sweetheart, by all accounts a perfect husband, and yet his wife divorced him. Her reason? He was, and I quote, too perfect. There was nothing wrong, and that, weirdly enough, became the problem. The brain's reward system just wasn't getting the novelty it craves.
So we've got chemistry, we've got psychology, and we have the brain's crazy reward system all swirling around at the same time. Let's try to pull all these threads together and see what this actually means for how we connect with each other. So here's the bottom line from our little explainer. First, steady affection. That builds the oxytocin foundation of trust. Super important. Second, our brains are hardwired with these shortcuts that make scarce or pre-approved people seem incredibly attractive. And third, a little bit of unpredictability can create a powerful, almost addictive dopamine-fueled attachment. It's this delicate dance, you see. Real stable love needs that affection, but our brains will always crave a little bit of novelty.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. When you look at your own life, your own connections, what's really driving them? Is it the deep, warm comfort of stability, or is it that powerful, sometimes chaotic thrill of the unpredictable? The science shows us that both are incredibly powerful forces, and they are constantly at play inside every single one of us.